We are live. What's up, my friend? Abby here, and welcome to another Write With Me live stream. I'm so glad you all are here. It's so great to see all your smiling faces in the chat. Shout out first and tell me if you can see me and hear me okay. Because before, my camera was not being recognized by YouTube, so now I think it is. Hopefully you can see me okay. It's so great to see you all here. Welcome to the Write With Me live stream. We haven't done one of these in a long time. It's been like a month, I think. So I'm super glad to see you all here. I'm going to chat for a few minutes while everybody gets on. If you're new around here, okay, great. You can see me and hear me okay? Awesome. If you're new around here, the way that these Write With Me live stream sessions are structured is we do 3 writing sprints, 25 minutes each, where I will be writing, you will be writing, and then we take a short break in between each sprint to chat about our stories. I will answer some questions that pop up in the chat, and it's basically just like a super chill writing session. Like we're just hanging out together, writing our books. And today I'm going to actually be rewriting. So I have my big giant manuscript right here, as you can probably see. This is something that if you've seen my, if you saw my last vlog, you saw that I was editing this manuscript, and I've gotten through quite a bit of it by hand. I'm 137 pages in by hand, and I'm starting to feel like kind of overwhelmed by the scope of it all. So usually what I do when I start to feel that way is I stop and I start putting my notes and my rewrites into the actual digital manuscript, because it just makes me feel more like I know where I'm headed. I know what this book is starting to look like, and I can just get a better handle on it. So that's what I'm doing today. I'm going to be typing up notes and also edits and also doing some rewriting. So a whole bunch of stuff for this project specifically. But tell me what you're writing in the chat. What are you working on today? I'd love to hear about it. I love seeing all of you amazing writers from all over the world coming together in this community, and we're all working on such different writing projects, which is so cool. So tell me about your writing project that you're working on today in the chat. Hopefully you have something yummy to drink. I have a nice iced coffee with me today, and I have my timer ready, my music ready, and my manuscript. So I think we're all set to go. If you have questions for me, I'm going to answer those in the break segment as per usual, and it always helps me out. Helps me to see your question when you @reply Abby Emmons or use Super Chat. So real quick, Super Chat, if you're unfamiliar, is a fun way to support me and my channel while I'm here on the live stream. It's a little $sign icon right next to the chat, and all of your support goes directly to supporting my channel and helping me to make more videos, more writing videos, and spread them farther to help more writers. So I always appreciate your support. And when you use the super chat, your comment gets pinned higher up in the chat, so I'm more likely to see it. So there is that as well, because the chat does fly by pretty fast when we're all on here chatting and talking with each other. Okay, so looks like you guys are working on a bunch of different awesome stuff: historical fiction, fantasy, futuristic sci-fi. Awesome. Fantasy. So cool. Debut novel, first book, contemporary romance. So many awesome creations being made today. I'm super excited. And I'm really excited to get into my project. So if you didn't see my vlog about that project, it's a contemporary romance YA, but it's not really, I don't know if I really even categorize it as a romance. I mean, there is a romantic element, but there's like so much elements about like family, friendship. It's a lot like 100 Days of Sunlight, actually. It's probably the one book in my arsenal that is the most like 100 Days of Sunlight. So I'm really excited to polish it up and share it with you guys, because it's been years since I wrote the first draft. I wrote the first draft in 2016, and I kind of wrote a second draft, but I didn't really finish it. So it's a mess. And I'm really excited to turn it into something actually worth reading. But again, of course, that's a lot of work. Oh yeah, and Kate's here. Kate's here in the chat. Say hi to Kate. She's working on our co-write project today, which I don't know if she even knows this, but I was working on that earlier too. I've been writing some scenes out of sequence, but it's okay. It won't be a problem because I've gotten so used to writing out of sequential order that I'm pretty good at it now. Super chat just came in. Thank you so much from Swift Justice. Have you ever written a story using dictation? Sometimes sitting down and typing can be very tedious. I've never actually written a story using dictation, but it looks really interesting. I admire people who can do that because my brain just doesn't really work. Like I can't just like say the story. I don't know why, but I have to like sit down and look at a sentence and actually tweak it and craft it out. Yeah, I don't really like get full thought processes that I can speak clearly with how difficult it is for me to even say this. But I think it does help a lot of writers. So it's worth a try. I have tried it, it just doesn't work for me. Okay, I'm gonna answer this one more super chat, and then we're gonna get into our first writing sprint. Thank you to Pachowska. Did you design your own office? It's the stuff of author dreams. Yes, I did design my own office, and I love it. Honestly, I want it to be very white and bright and airy and just clean, kind of minimal, with of course this beautiful bookshelf behind me. And this bookshelf behind me is a work in progress. I'm always adding to it, changing the way it looks, and it's also my bed. So if you haven't seen my vlog where I open my bookshelf and my bed comes out of it, you got to go watch that one because it's really cool. It's the coolest bed I've ever had. Okay, let's get into our first writing sprint. I'm gonna set my timer for 25 minutes, and I need to get some work done. Enough chit chat. We will chat again in 25 minutes. Okay, so set your timers. I have mine, and you'll hear mine ring. So if you don't want to set a timer, you can just go by mine. Let's go. Wow, that writing session just flew by. That was our first timer. I thought it was my phone going off. It's like, shoot, I forgot to mute my phone. But it was our timer. So tell me how your first writing sprint went. I want to know all about it. I feel like it got kind of cloudy and dark in here. So let me turn on the light. Okay, so how'd it go? Mine went well. I was outlining, and then I jumped into the scene that I was writing and started writing a little bit more of that. So kind of all over the place, but it was productive. It was productive. Okay, looks like you guys did a good job. That was fast, I know, I agree. Oh, thank you for the super chat, Star. By the way, don't forget you are awesome. Thank you. So are you. Okay, let's see. 370 words, just outlining. 391, 635. Awesome. Great job, guys. The important thing is that you show up for yourself. Okay, that's what these writing sessions are all about. So even if you didn't get as many words in that first session as you wanted to, don't worry. There are more writing sprints coming, and it's okay, because what's important is that you sit down and you give yourself the time, you give yourself the space to be creative. So important. So any progress is good progress. That's what I always say about bad writing days, as well as that there's no bad writing days. Like even if you don't write more than a sentence, it's not a bad writing day, because you showed up for yourself, you took the time to create space for your creativity, and also everything you write, I believe, is practice that goes towards making you a better, more experienced writer. So even if you feel like everything I wrote today was crap, it still is making you a more experienced writer, you know? So I like to say that my writing's never bad. My writing is either great or it's making me great. That's a good mantra to adopt. Okay, so I'm gonna answer a few questions and then we're gonna go into our next writing sprint. And first, actually, I'd forgotten to say this in the opening when we were first getting started, but as I was in the middle of that sprint, I thought of it, so I don't want to forget again. But I want to tell you guys, and I'm going to do like more of an official announcement later on this month, but I wanted to give you like a preview announcement, announcement, that this June, I'm going to be hosting another virtual writing retreat here on my channel. And it's going to be even better than last year. So if you were around here last year, you know that I did the whole month of June. I just did live writing sessions, Write With Me live streams. And we all took that month to really focus in on our writing and just get a lot done. And I'm really excited because I want this to be kind of an annual thing. And this year is going to be even better. I have a lot of plans for it, so I'm not going to reveal all my plans yet, but there is going to be more of a community aspect to it, and I'm really excited for that. And there's also going to be more live streams. So I'm planning on doing 2 live streams per week, 10 live streams total in June. It's going to be intense, but I want to take that time to really focus on this book here and get a lot done. Like my goal for June is to turn this mess of a manuscript into a beautiful, solid book that I feel proud of and that I can start making plans to publish. So that's my goal. I know it's kind of ambitious, but that's what I'm going to be working on in June. And I want you guys to start thinking about what would you work on if you were given the opportunity to take the month of June, to take as much time as you possibly can to have a virtual writing retreat of your own, because I really want you to join me on this virtual writing retreat. It's going to be so much fun. It's going to have a really great community aspect, and I'm looking forward to it. So more on that coming soon. But first, I have to answer some questions here. So let's see. Looks like you guys are making great progress. Awesome. Fabulous. Okay, here's a question from Isabella. My MC, Cress, is a former assassin in a sci-fi world. I introduced her when she isn't an assassin, but I feel like it should be brought up. Are flashbacks good? yes, flashbacks are very good. I personally love flashbacks. I think they add a ton to character development and really just making you feel for characters, especially if they went through something rough or traumatic in their past and that has shaped who they are today. It's so important to see those things, even in little glimpses and flashes. What I love to do is I love to take note of when I encounter a story, whether it's a book or a movie or a TV series that does flashbacks really well. I try to kind of unpick the science of why did that make me care? Why did that draw me in? And I have a whole video on writing flashbacks. So I encourage you to look that up on YouTube. If you type in Abby Emmons flashbacks, it will pop right up. And in that video, I talk about how to seamlessly insert flashbacks into your story by using the same laws of cause and effect that you use for any scene in your story, so that it doesn't feel like you're hitting the pause button on your current story so much as showing the reader something that is very intuitive, something that they want to see answer to a question that they have. So that's really what you want to accomplish with your flashbacks, is to make it feel smooth, like a smooth flow of story, cause and effect. There's a reason I'm seeing this. It makes sense. My questions are being answered. And as a result, I'm caring more about the character. Okay, so hopefully that helps. Let's see. Any tips on writing flashbacks from third-person perspectives? I feel like it's kind of the same way. And also, if you prefer to write first person, or you feel like you write better in first person, or you could write a flashback better in first person, but you want it to ultimately be third person, what I've done is I've written scenes in first person and then went through and switched all of like the I don't really know what the grammatical term is, pronouns, to be third person instead. So that's one way to do it. If you feel like I can write this in first person, but I don't really see how I could write it in third, a lot of times if you just write it in first person and then switch all the pronouns to be third person, it actually ends up feeling really good. It reads really well, it reads really smoothly, and you can kind of see how it works. At least that's been my experience. So that would be one tip I have. And also just reading books that do it well. A series that comes to mind that does it really well is Six of Crows by Leigh Bardugo. That book does flashbacks so freaking well. And honestly, I just want to like read it again to take notes on writing flashbacks, because the flashbacks were so smooth, and it was all third person. So it was very immersive still, which surprised me. But there are a lot of books that do third person flashbacks. So find those and learn from them. Okay, let's see. Let's see. My side character has a good backstory, but I don't know how to bring it up. I feel like it takes away from my main character's backstory. That's a good question. So I've definitely faced this as well, because I love writing side characters, and I actually did a whole live training on side characters recently. So check that out if you haven't seen that already. But when it comes to introducing the backstory of side characters, it can feel like, oh, I'm distracting from the main character's plot or taking away from it, because this side character is so richly developed and you want to share that with your reader. You want them to care, but you also don't want to take away from the main character's story. I fully understand that. I think that a good way to establish this is through dialogue. If you can set up a moment, and keyword set up, because it can't just like happen, because we need to info dump we need to info dump this character's backstory, because that will feel forced and not natural. But if you can set up a circumstance where the side character can reveal some of their backstory in a way that feels natural, that flows with the story, don't necessarily rush it, because it will happen when the time is right, but keep an eye out for moments where it feels normal for this side character to share something, whether they are letting somebody into their confidence, or they are maybe even forced to share something, or maybe one of their secrets gets exposed without them knowing it, or against their will, or somebody finds out something about their past. There are myriad ways that you can reveal bits and pieces of your side character's backstory. So get creative with it, and maybe play with different ways to reveal that. But revealing through dialogue, I find to be really helpful with that. So hopefully that helps. Again, check out that video on backstory because I think it would help you. Okay, let's see. From Sabrina, I'm in the midst of my third act, but I keep stalling on pushing through to the end because I'm afraid I'll forget something. I know I should just do it, but it's so hard. Help, please. Thanks. Yeah, this is definitely this can be overwhelming when you reach the third act. It's like just so much going on, especially if you have a lot of story threads, a lot of different subplots. It can be overwhelming for sure. My advice would be to just take it one step at a time. Don't focus so much on the big picture. Just what do you need to accomplish in this next scene? What needs to change? What progress needs to be made? And just focus on that one scene at a time. And I'm a big picture person, so I know this can be really difficult. When I get overwhelmed by the big picture, I'm like, oh, there's so much to think about. But at that point, I really just have to say, okay, I did my best with my outline, and now I have to just write the next scene. And I can always smooth things over in the editing process. So just do it. Just dive right in. Plunge into it head first. You will not regret it. You'll regret what you didn't write, not what you write. Okay, so I'm going to answer one more question, then we're going to get into our next sprint because time is ticking away. What are your thoughts on ambiguous endings? That's a question I don't usually get from Grace. It really depends on the type of story, but I like ambiguous endings to a certain degree because I like feeling like I can kind of write the rest of the story in my mind if there isn't a sequel or a second book or a book after that. I do like some allusion to the future, like the writer kind of gives you hints about where it could go, but I also like open endings to some degree. I don't like them to be too abrupt that I'm like, no, that can't be the end. But I also like to be able to kind of use my imagination to create the scenarios of what might have happened next. So it really depends on your reader base and what they like, but I think not too ambiguous that that it feels rushed, but not too neat and tidy that people can't use their imagination to write the rest of the story in their own head if they want to. So let's get into our next writing sprint. I really want to get back into this scene, so I'm going to set my timer again. Set your timers for 25 minutes if you desire, or you can go by mine. So let's get into it. And we will chat more in 25 minutes. is why Rocky is not allowed to be in here with us. Sorry about the interruption. Oh my gosh. I know when he barks, he just like explodes. Sorry. Boom, that is the end of our second writing sprint. 2 out of 3. How'd it go? Well, pretty good. Let's see. 360 words. And it sounds like someone is mowing the lawn outside, so I apologize for the noise. A lot of times we just can't coordinate these things. Wednesday is usually lawn day, so I didn't think about that. But hopefully your writing sprint went well, and hopefully you are getting some words written. I got some more of this scene written that I'm working on, and probably going to jump back into it in the next sprint. But I also have this next chapter to work through, which is very messy because like the whole scene needs to be redone, really. Like I chopped a ton of it, and then I have some of it highlighted to rewrite and save. So I don't know. I don't know what I was thinking with this scene. I think I just didn't really know what to do with it, which I'm probably just going to end up rewriting the whole chapter because I don't know. I think it should just be different. But hopefully your writing sprint went well. Let's see. 500 words, 487. Wow, awesome. I only did like 360. So you guys are outdoing me. 700, 542. Awesome. Mowing lawn sounds ASMR. Yep, that's what we have right now. We have some background ASMR of a lawnmower. I don't know if anybody actually likes that sound, but I don't know. Oh, thank you for the super chat, by the way. Super chat went by from Lester. Thank you so much. Thanks for everything you do for writers. Buy my book. I'm so glad that you've gotten a lot of value out of my videos. Thank you so much for the super chat. And that's so exciting that your book is out. That's very exciting. Okay, so we're gonna answer a few questions and then we're going to do our third writing sprint. Okay. Here's a good question from Suki Mills. Do you have tips for editing without rewriting the whole thing? I keep deleting everything. Man, it's tricky sometimes because it really depends on like how much of the story you feel confident in. So if the story itself is good, then you're really just looking at like line edits and reworking sentence structure and maybe the flow of some scenes, but you're not fundamentally changing the whole story. So it is helpful if you don't have to change the fundamentals. I'm finding that with this manuscript, I'm having to change a lot of the fundamental things because, like I said, I wrote this first draft 6 years ago. So it seems crazy that it was that long ago, but it has it needs a lot of work because I was not much of an outliner back then. I used to be a pantser once upon a time, and I feel like I can improve the foundations of this story a lot. So if you're just looking at like you have a good story, you like the content of it, you like the plot and the character development and how the story flows, then you're really just looking at line edits. And I would say don't be too picky. Know what is good and what is maybe needs a little bit of help. I also have a video on line editing, and I plan to do a live training on line editing as well and kind of show you guys like behind the scenes my process, what exactly I delete, what exactly I reword and edit and all of that. So thank you for the super chat from the dyslexic alien. How do you write a hooking cliffhanger? Oh man, that's a good question, but I don't write a lot of cliffhangers. So I would say that really what you're looking for with a cliffhanger is, from what I've seen and read in other books, that cliffhangers that I like, is really kind of like a setup or sort of like an inciting incident in a way for another book. So thinking about it more like that, not like just what crazy thing can happen, but what is actually going to set up the next book. So if you're writing a cliffhanger for like book 1 and that's going into book 2, what unexpected thing can happen at the end to kind of upend the protagonist's life and plans, or some sort of disaster that triggers the next book. So really it's kind of like a second inciting incident. And I just finished writing the first draft of the first book in the series that Kate and I are working on. We just finished the first draft of the first book, and it doesn't really have necessarily a cliffhanger. Like, I think maybe it's sort of a cliffhanger, but it's not like an intense cliffhanger. There are definitely going to be more intense cliffhangers in future books, but really what we have set up at the end there is like the setup for the next book. So that helps a lot, I find, especially when you go into writing the next book. It's like you already did the work of setting it up. So you don't have to worry about creating an inciting incident because that was already in the end of the previous book. So that can be really good. Let's see. Any tips from Lauren, any tips on figuring out what kind of side characters your story needs? Well, the thing is about side characters is that they're really like, they are carrying a subplot of their own, right? And so the journey they go on, the character arc that they experience, is going to bring a new level of meaning and theme to your story. So I would think about what themes you want to bring to your story, what other layers do you want to bring to your subplots, because that's really the foundation of your side characters, is the subplots and the lessons that they learn as a result of their journey or fail to learn. So whether they have a positive character arc, a negative character arc, a flat character arc, any of those options can bring your story more layers of depth and meaning. And so I would think more about like, what is it that matters to you as the author? And this I find really fun, especially when you are kind of torn between different theme ideas. Like, oh, I want to write a story about this, but I kind of also want to write a story about this. And you're not sure what theme or what misbelief to give your main character. If you are torn and you have like a lot of options, then maybe consider giving some of those misbeliefs to your side characters and having those also be like subplots that also carry that theme throughout your story. So long story short, figuring out what side characters your story needs is really figuring out what subplots and what themes, sub-themes you care about, and then weaving those into your side characters' journeys. Hopefully that helps. Let's see. Isabella, where do you get your inspiration? Bonus question, how fast does it come? It really depends. I get a lot of inspiration from just immersing myself in good story and also not doing anything, which sounds weird, but like just giving myself the mental headspace to just not do anything, not think about work, not work, and to get out in nature and just relax, find peace and stillness. And that I find is like step one. And once I can sort of open up my mind, then inspiration is far more likely to strike. And it really depends as far as like new ideas or just a really good writing mood. It really depends on the day, it depends on the mood, it depends on what else is going on in my life. Lately, I've been really burnt out, so I haven't really had a lot of good writing days. But yesterday I had a good writing day, and I think self-care, mental self-care, and finding joy and peace is like step one. And then the inspiration follows. Let's see. I'm going to answer 2 more questions, and then we're going to get into our final writing sprint. Let's see. How do you recommend getting inspiration for the inciting incident? This is a question from Evangeline. This is a great question. And the inciting incident is such an important element of a story that it really does deserve your full attention. And it's crucial because it's in the beginning of your book, it's in the first half of your book, it is in the moment where you are either going to catch your reader and pull them in, or you're going to lose them. So it's very vital. But as far as getting inspiration for it, what you really have to think about is who your character is, who is your main character, what is their comfort zone, and how can you push them outside their comfort zone. It's really that simple. It's not complicated at all. If you can take this deeply conflicted character, which you should have already come up with their misbelief and their desire and their fear, okay, now they have great internal conflict, they have something they want, but they have a fear that's holding them back from getting what they want. And now I can draw the lines of their comfort zone, basically. I can understand what is outside of their comfort zone, what could happen to them that would push them into the ring with their greatest fear. And that's really what you're looking for. That point of conflict is what needs to be present in your inciting incident. Okay, it can't just be a thing happening to a person, because it could be anybody, right? It could be any person in your story. It could be any character. It has to matter specifically to this character because of who they are, what they believe, what they're afraid of. So, rant over, but that's where I would start. Start thinking about it. Start asking yourself, what can I do to push them outside their comfort zone? Okay, one more question. From Josie. What books would you recommend to other writers and authors? First, I would recommend learning from your favorite stories. Like, I always tell writers this whenever they ask me for book recommendations on books about writing. My first recommendation is, well, what are your favorite books? What are books that actually like pull you in, keep you up past your bedtime, that you need to know what happens next? And can you find a science behind that? Can you analyze that and figure out, what is it that makes me care? What is it that draws me in? Can I learn from this? Are there repeatable, practical principles in this story that I could take that same science and apply it to my own unique story? So I made a video about this a while ago, and it's called How I Study Stories and Learn from Them. Definitely watch that one if you haven't already. And in that video, I give out study guides, basically questions that you can ask yourself when you're reading any books, watching any movies, TV shows, to kind of unpick the layers of what's really happening here. What's the anatomy of this story, basically? What's the science behind it? And is there a pattern amongst my top 5 or top 10 favorite stories? So that's the first thing I always recommend to writers. But also, some of my favorite books on writing, which I'm currently reading a bunch of books on writing, and I'm going to make a video kind of reviewing them after the fact. But a few of my favorites are Lisa Cron's books, Wired for Story and Story Genius, are both fantastic because they combine the principle of brain science with writing, and kind of she goes really deep into how you can basically take the psychology of what interests your reader and use that to build a compelling story. So lots of good information in those books. I definitely recommend checking those out. And I know I've recommended them a lot because on my Amazon page for my my book, 100 Days of Sunlight, the readers also bought section. Lisa Cron's books are always there. So I know that you guys are also a fan of her books. So definitely check those out. Okay, so let's get into our final writing sprint. 25 minutes on the clock. We're running out of time here for a 2-hour session. Where's my clock? Where's my timer? Okay, 25 minutes. Let's go. Boom. That's our third timer. Third writing sprint. Finished. Tell me how it went in the chat. I got quite a bit done today. I actually didn't even expect to write as much as I did. I thought I was mostly gonna like be reworking scenes, rearranging things, making lots of notes, stuff like that. But I ended up writing, and I'm pretty happy with what I wrote. So hopefully you guys got a lot of writing in today during our session. I'm so glad that you could join me. And if you want to continue writing after this, go for it. Take the whole day if you can. Take as much time as you can for your creativity. I really like for these sessions to be kind of like a springboard to get you started, to help you to show up and open up your mind, open up your Scrivener project, and just enjoy being creative. Enjoy the process. And even if you didn't get as much done today as you wanted to, it's okay. It's all good. There are no bad writing days. Like I said, there are only writing days that improve your experience, improve your skill as a writer, and it's all good. So hopefully you guys enjoyed today's session. I'm so glad that you could make it. And I'm going to be doing more of these in the future, of course. And like I said earlier, I'm going to be doing a virtual writing retreat in June. So keep an eye out for that. More information on that coming soon. It's going to be super fun. We're going to do live streams twice a week. It's going to be intense. I'm going to rewrite this whole book, and you're going to join me and hold me accountable. And I'm going to hold you accountable. And it's going to be sort of like NaNoWriMo in the middle of June. So yeah, it's going to be fun. But stay tuned for more information on that coming soon. Thank you guys so much for joining me today. Thank you all for the super chats and for asking questions. I had so much fun chatting with you today, and I hope you had a wonderful time writing. I know that I got a lot done, and I'm super excited to write with you again in the future. So until then, guys, thank you again. Thank you for being here. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, and as always, rock on.